Hey, if you needed some good conservation news, here's one. This month, 2 baby black-footed ferrets were born. Their mother was a cloned black-footed ferret. This introduces much-needed genetic diversity to an extremely small and bottlenecked population. The mother is Antonia, and she is the clonal sister to Elizabeth Ann. Elizabeth Ann was, of course, the very first American endangered species to be cloned. I'm going to stitch in an old video I made about this for a little bit more information, but I think it's pretty neat. Meet Elizabeth Ann. Like anyone who exclusively introduces themselves by their first and middle name, she's adorable. She's also a clone, the first cloned endangered species in the United States. This is a big deal because Elizabeth Ann is a black-footed ferret, and in 1980 black-footed ferrets were declared extinct. That is until a ranch dog named Shep dropped off a dead black-footed ferret on their owner's doorstep, which led to biologists finding the last remaining population of black-footed ferrets on Earth. There were 130 there, and scientists monitored this population, and it started declining because of disease. So they took measures and captured the remaining 18 ferrets to start a captive breeding program. In the decades that followed, thousands of these have been born and reintroduced into the wild, and it's estimated that somewhere between 200 and 300 ferrets are existing today in the wild. But when a species undergoes such a dramatic decline, what happens is something we call a genetic bottleneck, where a massive amount of genetic diversity is lost. Genetic diversity is what keeps a population able to adapt and survive through all sorts of outside adverse effects. The biggest threat to ferrets is the sylvatic plague, which also affects their number one prey source, which is prairie dogs. When both are declining, both species are in trouble. And this is where Elizabeth Ann comes in, because she's introducing new genetic material from a ferret that died 30 years ago and was frozen. This introduces genetic diversity to a species that at one point numbered fewer than Duggar children. The story of the black-footed ferret's miraculous recovery from the very brink of extinction is one of the great success stories of natural resources, and it is a testament to both the resiliency of an individual animal and that of humans when they decide to put their minds to something great. However, like many government programs, this one is particularly fragile today, and budget and staffing cuts as part of the Department of Government Efficiency is putting this program at risk. Here are some screenshots from a Colorado Sun article that talks about all the incredible things that this program is doing and what we stand to lose if we don't fight for it. So here's your daily dose of nightmare fuel. I present to you the robo-badger, and it's a perfect example of how weird wildlife management can get. First, let's backtrack a bit. In the caption, I've pinned a video I made about black-footed ferrets, but the very quick rundown is that they were thought to be extinct. A very good dog found one. The last colony on Earth was discovered, and from there a captive breeding program was begun. In the intervening years, black-footed ferrets have become the poster fur baby for the concept of rewilding, aka reintroducing species to their native habitat where they haven't existed for some time. Now, one of the trickiest parts of rewilding is taking wild animals that are born in zoos or other captive breeding facilities and then reintroducing them into an environment they don't have the skills to navigate. Unsurprisingly, the first batch of reintroduced ferrets did terribly, which is what led to the creation of Colorado's National Black-Footed Ferret Conservation Center, also known sometimes as Black-Footed Ferret Boot Camp. These furry, feated, baby-shy haloods needed preconditioning, and this is the place for it. Ferrets are observed in the pens with these burrow systems installed to see if they've got what it takes to make it in the real world. Prairie dogs are released in the pens, and ferrets learn to hunt them. They also get exposed to weather, bugs, and curious raptors and owls circling above the netted ceiling. In 30 days or so, biologists get a pretty good sense of whether they're ready for reintroduction, or if they'll spend the rest of their days delighting children, in this case I am children, with their wiggly little running and wrestling style. But where does robo-badger come in? Well, in the early days of the experiment, researchers didn't have enough black-footed ferrets to actually test their methods. So they imported some Russian polecats and tried to teach them how to hunt, how to be afraid of predators. One idea they had was to attach a badger carcass to a remote-controlled truck toy and chase the polecats around the pen. It was slow, it didn't behave like a predator, the polecats ignored it. I like this example because it shows both how out-of-the-box biologist thinking can be, how iterative it is, and how gross it can be. It's perfect. Mad Max-style abominations aside, BFF Boot Camp has been a success. Biologists found that Ferrets who graduate from the conservation center are 10 times more likely to succeed in the wild. We still have a ton of work to do. BFFs experience such a severe bottleneck event that their genetic diversity is in rough shape. They need more habitat. They need more prairie dogs for prey. And perhaps worst of all, they're still at extreme risk of sylvatic plague. Even in the face of all those problems, I still think that black-footed ferrets have potential to be the great conservation story of our time.